Hello and welcome to the Fierce Urgency of Now in Today's Schools podcast. I am Dr. Cynthia Mama J. Johnson, a voice of hope in education, and I will be your host. Thank you, as always, for joining me for another episode. Before we jump in, let me remind you why we gather. The Fierce Urgency of Now in Today's Schools podcast is dedicated to disrupting, interrupting, and dismantling barriers to changing student outcomes in our nation's schools. Why? Because our children need us now more than ever before. So we've got to come together to figure out what we've got to do to meet children where they are. Don't leave them there, but to elevate them to a whole new level. Well, I want you to know today that my guest is one of those individuals who is setting the standard of excellence and the bar of excellence so high that we're going to have to run fast and jump high to be able to get to where she is. So please welcome none other than Dr. LaTonya Goffney.
Wow. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mama J.
Woo, I am excited to have you here today. I'm telling you what, your work that you do, years ago, there's a song that says, "May the work that I've done speak for me." Well, I want you to know,
Yes.
come on, the work that you're doing right now speaks from you, and it doesn't make a difference where you are. That's what blows me away. It doesn't make a difference if you're serving in the capacity of a superintendent. It doesn't make a difference if you're a president-elect. If you are working with the Association of Black School Administrators, it doesn't make a difference where you are. You are serving with excellence. So that lets me know that you know something about Colossians 3 and 23. I'm going to leave that there. Let's let people look that up, and we're going to leave that alone. But today there's so much that I want to be able to share with you and to be able to for people to learn about you. But I just want to read just a little bit about you today, and then I'm gonna let you tell the rest of this story. Here we go. Dr. LaTonya M. Goffney is the superintendent of schools for the Aldine Independent School District in Houston, Texas. Since taking the helm in July of 2018, she has dedicated herself to the district's over 60,000 students and nearly 9,000 employees, as well as the entire Aldine community. And let me tell you this. If you don't follow her on social media, on LinkedIn or X, you need to do so, because I'm going to guarantee you're going to see something that she is doing every single day. She began her career as a teacher at Cold Spring, Oakhurst, CSID in 1999 before eventually leading COCISD as superintendent from 2008 to 2013. And in 2013, she was named superintendent of Lufkin ISD. Dr. Goffney was the first African American to serve as superintendent in all three school districts. I'm going to pause for a second, let people take that in. This is a history maker. She has increased student achievement in every district she has served, including Aldine, by focusing on early childhood education, literacy, targeted professional development for teachers, and collaboration across parent engagement and increased communication. And in April of 2025, Dr. Goffney was voted as the 2025-2026 President-Elect of the AASA, the School Superintendent Association, the nation's premier organization representing more than 13,000 school system leaders nationwide. I'm going to stop right now, because I'm going to tell you what, I got to go ahead and get my tambourine, because you have got me fired up. You're one of those individuals. Let me stop. And first of all, let me make sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Did I say it correctly?
Absolutely. Yes. LaTonya
Thank you
Goff.
so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please tell us anything else you want to tell us. Your bio is long. Tell us anything else you'd like to say to us.
Mama J, let me first say thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate this moment. I appreciate you allowing me to have an opportunity to just share and to be a part of your community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The bio says one thing, but the thing that I would want everyone to understand is that I'm just a country girl.
Come
I was
on now.
born in Cold Spring, Texas, population of 697. And
Woo!
I wasn't born on third base. I was born in some challenging situations. I share because I think it's important to set the context so that people understand that what they read today is not necessarily how it started, but you'll
Come
understand the
on.
passion when you see the fact that my mom was 15 when she had me, and I didn't have a relationship with my father, and I was raised by my grandparents. My grandmother was a domestic. She cleaned houses for a local white family. My grandfather, he mowed lawns and collected cans, and that helped us to have food to eat. And one of them had a 5th grade education. My grandfather had a 3rd grade education, and he couldn't even can read. He wrote his name in it.
Right.
And I was the oldest grandchild. He would tell me, Tonya, if you can read, you can go anywhere.
Come on. Come on.
But the bio doesn't share is the fact that I'm grateful for all the opportunities that a public education has provided me.
Yes.
And because I learned the strong work ethic from my grandparents and never lost sight of the fact that my grandpa said, if you can read, you can go anywhere. And so while they did not have choices and opportunities, I'm grateful that I have the choices and opportunities that I have today. And it's my greatest joy is to make sure that the students who are in my care, that they have more choices and opportunities today and in their future. So it's not about the bio, it's about the work. And that's the thing that I always want to be remembered for is the work. You would, as my grandmother would say, the work I've done, speak for me. And so that's why it's so exciting to be here and to be able to share with your listeners today.
Oh, I appreciate your kindred spirit, that because I'm telling you, you are touching me today. You've gone through so much, and what is so beautiful is that you just see somebody on a piece of paper, but I knew that there was more because the way that you move, the way that you greet people, the way that there's always a smile on your face, and there may be things in your heart that's breaking your heart. They may be pulling you down, but when you connect with people, I want you to know somebody that's over 1,000 miles from you is watching you. And I see it in you. And you just can't stand up on your own and do that. You've got to have a power that is stronger in you. When you talk about a country girl, that's who I am. Just a country girl whose eggs came from the chickens. We would be outside and picking the green beans and the collard greens, and granddaddy would take them down to Safeway grocery store. And he would sell those things. 8 and 9 years old, digging in the dump. So I get it. I get it when you talk about, you don't see that on the bio. And, it makes me think of that song that says, you don't know my story.
You don't know my story.
Or the things that I've been through. You don't know my pain. So when people see you and they see your strength, they don't understand. That strength was created through faith. And your grandparents shaping you and reading. When you talk about 3rd grade and 5th grade, that's what my grandparents had. My grandfather was born on a slave settlement in Mount Olive, Missouri in 1901. And then in 1934, my mama was born on that same slave settlement. So when I say just a little country girl, I get it. Woo! We could just have church in here.
Absolutely.
We gonna come.
I love it when my worlds collide, because I have professional roles. I have, of course, my own as a superintendent, as you alluded to. But for your audience, I would want them to also know that I serve as the first lady of a church, and we just celebrated 10 years. My husband became pastor exactly 10 years ago. He's been preaching since I met him. Some of our initial we laugh because our initial dates when we were in high school were to go visit the sick and to shut in with his dad.
Oh, wow.
Parents who were pastor and first lady. And so I love when my worlds collide. I love when my professional world, my spiritual world, and my personal world all collide. I feel like that's what's happening for this podcast today.
I love it. Some people would say, "Oh, don't mix the two. I am who I am. I can't separate the two. This is who I am. This is why God made me so strong." So we gonna go on though. We gonna go on before we really do. We have to put the ushers on the door and say no movement, no movement. Right now, we gonna pause right now. So, but let me jump into the first question. You have done so much. So the first question is, what brings you to the work? And what keeps you doing the work every day?
Oh, listen, it goes back to recognizing that zip code's not destiny, and how you start, no excuse for how you finish. And I'm very fortunate. When I think back to my public school experience, school was where the magic. And I'm not just saying that as a cliche. It really was. When you're born in the poverty and you're raised in poverty, and where education has been fleeting.
Yes.
The people don't have the highest level of education, but when you get to go to school and are blessed with great teachers and great leaders and
Yes.
people who believe in you, support you, and
Yes.
encourage you, like literally my story could have been different had I not had that experience. And so I'm
Right.
grateful for my public school
Yes.
experience. I can go
Woo!
tell you all of my teachers, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and tell you all the amazing ways in which they just pushed me and inspired me and how it was an escape because things at
Woo!
home, you're in poverty, it's not the same. Like there's all
No.
kinds of trauma, all kinds
Right.
of different things, whether there's all kinds of abuse, there's all kinds of addictions, there's all kinds of negative things.
Woo!
But I was
Yes.
so grateful that when I went to school that they told me I was smart. And
Woo!
so when I think about my calling, I believe that there were times when I wondered and I even questioned, and there's a part of my story in which I can tell you that I wondered, God, why did I have to go through all this, whether it
Uh-huh.
was physical abuse or any of the other abuse that I endured as a child. But then I got to have all these opportunities
Yes.
through public education. And so
Yes.
I see public education as a solution to a lot of challenges that our kids are born into through no fault of their own. And
Yes.
so my calling is to make sure the kids do graduate with
Yes.
choices and opportunities. And what keeps me going is to see where it's taking root and it's manifested, where you see more children. And today we have more kids who are graduating college, career, military ready.
Yes.
We have more kids who have first generation college students or first generation access students, and more students who are seeing the value of education. And so that's what keeps me going.
Woo! I love that. I love that. And I love the fact that you always take it back to what you grew up with.
That's right.
You want to make sure that students have those access and opportunities, but not just access and opportunities. You want to see them go ahead and complete. I
Mhm.
know. I know. Last during my first season, I interviewed Dr. Not Doctor, but Mr. Rashid Davis,
Mhm.
who is the whatever the beginner of the P Tech, and from the Bronx. And I think about
Mhm.
him, and he said, I don't want to just give access and opportunity. I want to make sure that students complete the work that they are doing. So I mean, I love that so much, and all that you've said is what our children need in today. That's why there's an urgency. Urgency doesn't mean that we just go in and haphazardly do things, but we are intentional. We have what was it? Marzano years ago talked about a laser-like focus. You've
Mhm.
got to have a focus that is so tight and so powerful on children to get them, first of all, to meet them where they are, and then to get them to a whole new level. And we can do that work if we do it together. That's what I love. So I'm going to take you to the second question, so because I know you got something to say about this.
Mhm.
The entire title of the podcast that God gave me the inspiration to do is the fierce urgency of now in today's schools. I want to know from your lens, from your eyes, what is the fierce urgency of now in today's schools?
Mama J, when I saw it, when it popped up on my calendar, once we gotten this date confirmed, it said fierce urgency of now. Of course, I thought about, Dr. King and
Yes, that's where it came from.
exactly. And the irony is the fact that it still holds and rings true today. In education, we cannot wait for our students to give them what they need in order to be successful. And as
Yes,
I continue to state that this is really personal for me because I recognize what's at stake. I,
yes.
you can't live this day and you don't get another first day of kindergarten, or you don't get another
Mm,
year of first grade or a year of second grade. What we do each and every day either sets kids up for success or
yes.
sets kids up for failure.
Mm.
And so we've got to make sure that we're doing everything we
Ooh,
can to grow
right,
every single child, those
right.
who come and are more marginalized, as well as those who come with who are more have more abilities. Because I was considered, while I was poverty, I was considered extremely bright and
Yes,
gifted. And so we've got to grow and give every child what they need in order to be successful. And so as we think about, you talked about earlier of keeping a focus, and I
yes,
recognize that now with everything that's happening in DC or even happening here in Texas and Austin, and some of the things that may come across as less than advantageous for public schools, we
right,
recognize public school is again where the magic happens. I think it's
right.
the one pillar in our democracy that it continues to stand is going to continue to create opportunity for those who may have not been born with those opportunities. So when you think about the fierce urgency of now, we've got to make sure and capitalize on every single moment that we have in order to grow every single child so that we can best prepare them to graduate with the choices and opportunities that we, as we look back and think about it. I say this often, I'm living the dream.
Right.
Like I'm dream. When we think about the dreams of our ancestors and those who come before us, I talk about my grandma and grandpa, who God, I wish they would have gotten to live to see this moment for me. Yes. I can see some of it, but they really didn't get to see. They saw me as a teacher, saw me as a principal, but by the time I was, a superintendent, my grandmother got to see some of it. But they wouldn't believe some of the rooms that I'm in and some of the access I have. And so we got to think about the fact that we're living the dreams. And so not only am I living the dreams of, my mom who was 15, my grandparents who didn't have access, but you, everyone that we're listening to, even if your parents were more affluent and middle class, you're still living their dreams because they want you to do better than they did and to have more of a reach. And so if we're going to do that, it's so important that we not waste time and that we become laser focused on delivering on the promise of a solid public education for the students that we serve.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love the fact that you use the word grow. Now, I don't know if I should get my tambourine out, if I should get my fan out. I mean, I didn't know what to grab. You understand. I mean, and I already knew that I didn't know you were going to use that word, but I already know that you understand the word grow. That is our responsibility as educators, because if we are not growing stronger children, more equipped to be able to handle and navigate, not the future, not 20 years from now, I'm talking about they can navigate tomorrow, then we're not doing our job. It's more than just coming to school and knowing a name and I'm gonna give you a worksheet. Those type of things don't work anymore. They really never worked. But it's our responsibility to grow our children. That's my one word. John Gordon always says, grab you one word. That's my one word for 2025 is to grow. So every single day I'm doing something. I'm well grown, but I'm doing something every single day to grow, to be better until God calls me home. So that is so very important. Like I said, growing. We've got to grow our children and we have to grow as individuals. So I want to take you to our third question. What are you willing to disrupt, interrupt, or dismantle to ensure that students have access and opportunities to thrive and succeed in today's world?
We just began a new year and I'm really excited about the new year. And one of the things that, I'm starting my 18th year as a superintendent.
Wow. Wow.
I was the youngest superintendent in Texas in 2008 at the age of 31.
Yes.
And I've had the opportunity to serve in my third district. And so one of the things that I commonly say, but I intentionally say to all new teachers is, especially when you're serving in a district that is 100%, we serve 100% Title I campuses. We have 92% economically disadvantaged, but there's no zip code that has affluence. So it's so important that day one and everyone understands that we're not responsible for how kids come to us, but we are responsible for how they leave us. So when we talk about growth, it's so important that we focus on growth. I also recognize there are certain school districts and certain things that I'm certainly not trying to diminish the role of leading even in more affluent schools, but it doesn't matter who the superintendent is, who the teacher is. Those kids were born on third base and they're prepared to pass whatever state assessment, period. But then there are those at which what happens, it truly does matter. So one of the things that I have to constantly focus on is disrupting the mindset of low expectations. Because I would be surprised to know that there are so many people who don't believe that all kids can truly learn. Don't believe that all kids deserve to have access and opportunity. And so the disruption piece that I will not apologize for nor hesitate to do is around low expectations. And so one of the ways that of communicating how that shows up is if you want to allow it for your own child, you shouldn't allow it for anybody's child. And so making sure that we disrupt in that way. And so interrupt, of course, any practices that don't serve students well or hold them back. We want to interrupt those things, whether like it's low expectations. One of the things that we were implementing during my earlier tenure here at Aldine ISD was high quality instruction materials. We were making sure that our kids deserve to feel and to have access to rigor, complex text, and be challenged in a way that could help push them and not lower expectations by giving them leveled readers or different things that were not going to help them to be on grade level or beyond once they left that particular grade. So interrupting practices that don't serve students well, we have to do that. We cannot dumb down. We cannot lower the bar. We have to set the bar and then push kids to meet the bar. And then, of course, dismantle anything that prohibits our students, our children from having access to opportunities, academics, career pathways, or access to just strong teaching in general. And perhaps one of the things too is we have to be courageous enough to stop doing some work so that you can start doing other work. And so literally anything that doesn't serve kids well is so important that we all disrupt, interrupt, or dismantle.
I love that. I love that. Woo! You have given us a master class. You hear me? On what it looks like to disrupt, to interrupt, and dismantle. And you know what? We as leaders, we have to make that decision that we're going to go in and tackle those things. Because when you start talking about disrupting, people are going to look at you like, what? We've been doing that for years. And then when you start, you coming and interrupting, because that means interrupting means you may need to interrupt right here and right now. And when you talk about dismantling, you tearing down something, people have put your name on a list like, well. But that's what it takes. That fierce urgency that Dr. King spoke about in his I Have a Dream speech in 1963, that same speech. And he talked about segregation and discrimination and all the different things that were going on that March for Jobs in Washington. That same urgency is what we have to have today in our schools. Not doing, like I said, doing things in a crazy way, but we're doing things that we're going to help children be better. And I believe that when we help children become better, that we help the families. And we help the families, we help the communities. And we help the communities, we help the states. And when we help the states, we help our nation. So I know that there is so much that is going on in our world. I know that there's so much that is happening right here, right now. Dr. Goffney, I want you to know I am so honored that you would take time during your busy day. I'm honored that you would do that for me. There are just a couple things I want to ask you, just very quickly. Give me two highlights. There's so much going on in your district right now. Literacy is setting the standard. And if we look at all the grades, the different grades and things at the different schools that you have, the different level, give us two highlights about what's happening in Aldine School.
Oh my gosh, listen, I'm so excited, so thrilled. And it's been a journey, 8 years, starting my 8th year in Aldine and coming in 2019, of course, having to deal with the COVID years, it kind of took a lot of the momentum, but I'm so thankful that we're on the other side, and due to the work of our amazing leaders and awesome teachers and just our community at large buying into the fact that we want to grow every child, we've been able to improve our accountability and by a letter grade. We've been able to decrease the number of F schools and
I saw that
in F schools. So really excited about the work, and we had the highest growth, the most growth of any district in any district in the area for literacy. So really excited about what that means for our kids and what that means for the work that we're doing and going to continue to do as we accelerate learning for all kids. And then I'm also excited about, while we're building the base, STAR assessments, annual testing should be the floor. But really, we should really focus on is what opportunities we're bringing kids. And so when we think about that, the two things that I'll highlight is we have of going out and getting partnerships. We want our kids to graduate with not only college hours, our College for All model, or with certificates so that they can graduate with credentials so that they get high wage, high paying jobs. And so we had, you mentioned P-Tech at the top of the hour. So we were one of the first districts in the Houston area to have a standalone P-Tech school. And so cybersecurity, literally we have a partnership with UHD, University of Houston downtown, where you go from a high school student and get your high school diploma. You can get your associate's degree while in high school, go to the community college at Lone Star, and work towards your bachelor's, go to University of Houston downtown and end up getting your master's in the seamless transition.
Wow.
And
Oh my gosh.
very affordable. So really excited about what we're doing at P-TECH. In addition, we know we don't have a lot of teachers, so we're growing our own teachers. Like we have a teacher training program, and so literally those students are graduating, getting their paraprofessional certification, able to work in a school and wherever they're going to college, but come back here and bring that sheet of paper where they automatically have a job. So really excited about what that doing. And this is one little area of how we're growing our early college P-TECH and CTE. And perhaps the one that I want to highlight is through a partnership with the Bloomberg Foundation. We were one of 11 across the country of partnerships to make sure that we are growing the medical field and preparing students. And so with Memorial Hermann, which is our local partner, we have a high school that is called HEAL, HEAL, Health, Education, and Learning, in which we have 5 pathways. It's nursing, pharmacy, physical and occupational therapy, medical, imaging, and healthcare administration. And so you can get any one of those pathways. And with it is going to come mentorship, because we recognize in our area, not only are we a food desert, but we're also a healthcare desert. So what are some solutions? We know what the problem is. What are some solutions? And so we have, it's important for us as we educate the whole child to have have an opportunity for our kids during school. So school-based healthcare access, giving our kids opportunities to learn, and then mentors. So when our students graduate, they will have spent every summer working with and partnering with Memorial Hermann and the mentors, opportunities to navigate. Sometimes not who you know is what you know. And so to navigate the entire educational journey or the employment journey. And so we're really excited about how we're rethinking, how we're building upon and making sure our students have success so they can graduate with choices and opportunities ultimately.
I love it. I love it. Last question, and we're going on. What is your call to action for our audience? What is the call to action for the audience of the fierce urgency of now in today's schools?
Listen, do what you can. Sometimes it can become daunting when you look at how far we have to go, or you look at all the external factors that are impeding your ability to move forward. But if I had to talk about the fierce urgency of now and ask everyone who's in your audience who's going to hear this, it's to do what you can, and to worry about the things that you can control. So how do you move forward, and how does your leadership impact not only the next generation of leaders, but also the students who are sitting in your classrooms and in your buildings right now? Do what you can. And then everything else is going to fall into place.
I love it. I love it. Do what you can and everything else will come together. I love that. Let me tell you what, exactly what you said today is the reason why I was emphatic about having you as a guest. It didn't really make a difference how long I had to wait. If I had to come on down to Houston and sit in your office.
Yes, and you got to come visit.
I'm coming to visit. I am coming to visit. Mark my word. And your executive administrative assistants, I'm gonna say, Mama J's coming in. Y'all just
Mama J's coming.
Tell you what, I don't even have to even see her. Just have somebody take me around. That's all I need. I just want to come in. And I want to see this heal. I want to see the heal. I mean, that's got me excited.
Yeah, so people come from all over the country. I didn't talk about all the different choices that we provide. We want to be the best choice for the students we serve here in our area, but also want to make sure our kids are graduating with choices. So we have people who come from all over.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely phenomenal. Well, you know what? I always say this. It doesn't make a difference what things look like in our world today. I'm going to control the part that I can control. I can control of how I make connections with children. I can control about how I'm lifting a child. I can't control who's signing what. I can't control what funding the things may not come through. And we're very, very excited that the funding the things got turned around. I'm excited about the promise that AASA has just put out as I learn more about that in that work. I can't do all those things. But what I can do is to ensure that my light in this dark and dismal world shines. So regardless of how dark it gets, regardless if the waves come, I'm going to be anchored in hope. I hope you see that word back there behind me, because that's the word that keeps me going. I'm going to be anchored in hope. So, God, Dr. Goffney, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your heart and your soul today. I always end with this song, regardless of what it looks like, what it feels like, or sounds like. I'm going to let my light shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you so much for joining me on the Fierce Urgency of Now in Today's Schools podcast.